A diversified conglomerate is stepping up the rehabilitation of two major river systems in Metro Manila. San Miguel Corporation is also on track to complete the cleanup of Tullahan River in 2 months' time. Here's my one-on-one with Jimmy Lu, project manager of the initiative. Thank you for joining us tonight, Mr. Lu. And can you tell us where are we now on the Tullahan and Pasig Rivers rehabilitation projects?
Thanks, Ruth, and thanks for having me. The Tullahan Rehabilitation Project started as an invitation by DNR to San Miguel to participate in the Manila Bay Cleanup Project. Tullahan River being one of the main tributaries of Manila Bay, which brings out solid waste. So that's why it's being addressed. So our President, Mr. Ang, has allotted 1 billion pesos to do the cleanup project. So we started in February 2020, launching it with the different government agencies and local governments. But we were only able to start the dredging in June due to the pandemic restriction. No? So it's almost 20 months now since we started, and we are pleased to report that we have already dredged almost 876,000 metric tons of silt and waste, and covering about 8.3 kilometers of the total 10-kilometer stretch of the Tullahan River from Manila Bay up to NLEX, no? Or in Marolas, Valenzuela. So good progress, and we expect that we will be completing the cleanup for Tullahan River by June this year for the main parts. No? With regards to the Pasig River cleanup project, Mr. Ang has also allotted 2 billion pesos for the cleanup of the Pasig River. And we started this launched this in June of 2021, started the dredging and cleanup in July. And so far, after a certain number of months that we have dredged, we are pleased to report that we have already removed almost around 345,000 metric tons of silt and waste in Pasig River, covering the areas of Pandacan, Santa Mesa, Paco, San Miguel, including Malacanang area. And recently, we have moved to the Marikina River Junction as well.
Wow. Oh, you were mentioning, Mr. Lu, no, you started the cleanup of the Tullahan River in particular in the midst of the pandemic. But like what you said, you've already covered close to 8-kilometer stretch of the river for the cleanup. So how did you do that? Can you tell us more details?
Yes. The Tullahan River cleanup project, there was a DPWH dredging plan design that we have followed, and they have subdivided the Tullahan River into 5 sectors, from Manila Bay, moving upstream, to the different barangays of Nabotas, Malabon, and Valenzuela. So we started, of course, at the mouth of the river in Manila Bay, because that's where the shallow portion is. That if you don't remove the silt and waste at the beginning, then that clogs up the whole river system. We employed heavier equipment so that we'll be more productive in removing the silt and waste. So we're employing 50-ton excavator using special barges to be able to reach the deeper part of the river. No? From there, we have started from the Navotas portion, moving up to the Tanyong part of Malabon. However, after a certain period, due to the typhoon in November 2020, Typhoon Ulysses, we recognized that we didn't experience any flooding problem in Nabotas. However, there was a report that there were flooding in Marolas and Potrero. So that's why Mr. Ang instructed us to advance the dredging or cleanup in the portion of Marolas and Potrero. So far, we have covered a big portion already up to now. We could see from before and after photos that significant improvement from the areas where there were a lot of eroded soil that has blocked the flow of the river. In some portion, there are about 10 to 15 meters of soil that has gone through the river, blocking the flow. So we have prioritized removing that. And in terms of deepening the water, the dredging aims to deepen the water from the usual 0 to 2 meters deep to 3 to 5 meters deep.
You were mentioning there was already significant improvements, like more than 20 months into the cleanup of the Tullahan River. Can you tell us more about possibly yung effects po doon sa community or the residents in the area?
Yeah, as I was mentioning, when we had Typhoon Ulysses in November of 2020, there were reports that while there was flooding that was happening in the Marikina River area, the communities in Nabotas and nearby Malabon area did not experience any severe flooding. So we were pleased with that benefit immediately by the dredging of the mouth of the Tullahan River. So we see that benefit already. And then after moving in the Potrero Marolas area, where we have removed those, I mentioned, narrow portion of the river. And come July of 2021, we have another heavy monsoon rains that we experienced, and we are pleased to again report then that while there was flooding that happened still, as we were just progressing in our dredging, the local government, particularly in Valenzuela, we're quite pleased to see that the usual flooding that stays for a day, already receded in less than 4 hours. So you could see that there is already benefit on the river dredging project.
And Mr. Lu, a while ago you mentioned that you are looking to complete the cleanup of the Tullahan River by June.
Yes.
What other activities are left and what can we expect?
Yes. What's remaining in the Tullahan portion is the further upstream part of Potrero and Marolas near NLEX. We've actually moved in that area this March recently. And what's peculiar in that area, it's the shallowest and narrowest portion of the river. So we require a different type of equipment to deal with that river system. So we have done bathymetric survey, or what's it called, water depth survey, comparing how was the depth of the water prior to dredging and how is it now. And you could see the big difference from 0 to 2 meters deep to 3 to 5 meters deep across, especially in the portion of the mouth of Manila Bay, where we even reach up to 5 to 6 meters deep, because we want to make sure that the flow of water will not be impeded.
Now, let's move to the discussion on the Pasig River rehabilitation. Where are we now, and can you give us more details about this, sir?
Yes. So, as I mentioned earlier, that we've covered already Pandacan, Santa Mesa, including the San Juan River Junction, as well as the Paco, San Miguel area, including Malacanang. Last week, we already moved to Ermita area. So that's the Manila area. And last February, we created another group to operate somewhere in Pasig City. And this one is the next shallow area of Pasig River, which is in the Marikina River Junction. This area is quite critical because that's the bottleneck of the flow of water coming from the upstream part of Marikina River. So if we address that immediately, if ever there will be any heavy rain coming soon, hopefully that would help. So we are expecting to move to another group once the new equipment arrives. So same as in Tullahan River, we compare what's the depth of the water prior to dredging and the depth of the water after dredging. Unlike in Tullahan, there's not much widening that we have to do because Pasig River is quite wide already. So it's really more deepening the water. So from the usual 1 to 3 meters deep of some portions of Pasig River, we have brought it down up to 5 to 6 meters deep. So in that way, we have removed the bottleneck in that portion of Pandacan and Paco. And now the C5 Marikina. Next would be in the Manila Bay area.
And some companies are taking notice of the SMC's river rehabilitation projects and are actually helping in some way through donations.
Yes, yes.
Maybe you can tell us more
we
about
are pleased to inform that this river rehabilitation project of Pasig River was noticed by one of the companies, NYK Line in Japan. And they are volunteered to help by donating equipment and even its maintenance, to the amount of $1.2 million. So we are really grateful and thankful to NYK Line for that. No? Of course, on top of that, as I mentioned, we are still bringing in more equipment so that we can further increase our dredging output, so that we can finish this also before any potential heavy typhoons that may happen in the future. Yeah.
And rainy season na rin tayo kasi ngayon,
Yes,
Mr. Lu.
yes.
Also, ito pang interesting na nabasa ko that most of your crew for the cleanup are graduates of SMC and TESDA's training program for disadvantaged communities in Bulacan. So that's a good thing.
Yes, yes. So right now we are employing about 50 crews in Tullahan and about 40 in Pasig River, and we will be hiring more for the Pasig River dredging project. Right now we have around 15 TESDA trained in heavy equipment that came from the Taliptip, Bulacan. So we will be hiring more as we continue to step up our dredging in Pasig River.
And outside Metro Manila, are there other flood mitigation activities lined up?
I believe so. There are so many learnings with the dredging of the Tullahan River and the Pasig River, and we would be employing those learnings in extending this river cleanup program, particularly in the Bulacan area, in Marolas, Maykawayan, and Obando area, which would help mitigate the flooding in Bulacan.
And finally, these are big river rehabilitation projects. I'm sure SMC couldn't have done it without other maybe government agencies and other groups.
Yes, of course. We're thankful, of course, for our president, Mr. Ang, for the support for this project. But likewise, DNR, our main partner for this project, with their support as well as DPWH to develop the design for the dredging. Likewise, the different local government units that we are working as we traverse along the river, including the barangay, because we are getting assistance from them and seeking permits along the way. There are also some private companies that volunteered to use their land for staging area. Example would be Coca-Cola, Aya Foods in Tullahan, as well as our own company, San Miguel Brewery, because we reside in Tullahan River as well. So, of course, we have MMDA as well and Philippine Coast Guard to assist us in terms of, moving of our equipment.
Thank you very much for joining us tonight, Jimmy Lu, Project Manager of the Pasig Tullahan Dredging Project.
Thank you.